My name is Allison Stone, and this is my Marketing 321 Scouting America presentation. So, a little overview for the Scouting America. What I have done, I want to go over what I've done, what worked, what didn't work, the number of people I reached out to, responses received, how I sent thank yous, and my final outcome. So, a little bit about the project was to raise money for Scouting America, which is to send special needs kids to summer camp and jamboree. Our total quota we were supposed to meet for this semester was $500, and I ended up surpassing that by raising $1,110. We did this project last semester, so I had some money that I raised last semester over, so I raised a grand total of $2,175. Um, the percentage I ended up reaching of my goal was 222%, and I had a total of 21 donors this semester. Um, I initially sent out 30 emails to get the ball rolling, and then as soon as I sent those emails out, I immediately started calling everyone on the list who didn't initially respond to the emails. For those who did email, I would call them back, thank you for your donation, um, and followed up. For those who didn't, I called them and I ended up only getting 7 responses from calls and voicemails. And then I had a few people answer through text and a few people who I talked to in person and they ended up donating as well. And then I had 4 additional donors who weren't initially on my prospect list and they had the link sent to them by other prospects. So what worked with me was actually talking with the prospects in person. That was probably the most effective strategy for me. And then I did get a lot of responses from emails, but definitely cold calling was the way to go because then I could reach them, talk to them on the phone, build rapport, and get a little bit of like their insight and see if they would like to donate. Um, my timing of calls were around 3 to 5 minutes. If they were like a close family friend or something like that, we would chat a little bit more because it was a more personal relationship and not someone I didn't know as well. And then for my opening, I would build rapport. I would, uh, ask how they were doing, uh, get to know a little bit about them, and then I asked if they had a minute, if I, like they had a minute of their time to speak with me today about a sales project I'm doing, and explained what the project was and if they were interested. For my follow-up, I would call back and personally thank them. If I didn't get a answer, I would leave voicemails, and then if they didn't respond to the voicemails, I would send follow-up texts or emails. And for my opening, I would frame the scout mission as a project for my sales class, and it's to build sales experience for the real world, and that it's an amazing opportunity to send special needs kids to um, summer camp and jamboree, and that it helps them build independence and they get to do things that they wouldn't normally get to do, which is a really great opportunity for these kids, and that it's a great opportunity for us as people who take these things for granted to help them get to experience that. I just think that's really cool. And then a couple things that didn't really work for me was just specifically sending emails or texts because they wouldn't respond, or they would just think it's junk mail, or um, they just didn't respond as thoroughly. So I would follow up with a call, of course. And then younger prospects, like people my age, they either would answer me and then they wouldn't donate, or they, I mean, we're in college, so they want to save their money for rent and, personal things, which I get. And then even some of the cold calls just didn't work. Like people didn't want to answer their phone, or um, they would say, yeah, they would donate. I would send them the link, then they wouldn't donate. And, um, or I would call them like multiple times, just never get an answer. I'd leave voicemails. So those are just a couple things that didn't work as well for me. Um, some adjustments I made to like fix those problems were for the younger prospects that weren't answering, I added more older people, like adults, and to replace the younger prospects. And then uh, if they weren't answering for the first couple times, I would just keep calling, keep calling, keep calling. And then after a while, if I knew they weren't going to pick up, I just crossed them off my list because, you know, can't put all your eggs in one basket, just got to keep moving. And then I would even change my opening and see if I got better outcomes from a different opening, uh, which I did a couple times, but then it was just mixed review. And what I would do moving forward, I would probably start initially with calls anyway, because that seems to be the best way to do it if you can't talk to them in person. And send like a follow-up email, follow-up text, and then keep going from there. I would also call during different times of the day. A couple people I called kind of early in the morning, but not like 9 a.m., like right when you get to work, but like closer to 11. And they were just busy, or they were getting ready for their lunch break or something like that. So definitely calling around uh, 4, or a little bit like 4 to 6 was probably my best time range, because everyone was leaving from work. You're driving home from work. I can catch you on the phone while you're in the car. Um, I also probably wouldn't ask people my age as much, because uh, they just don't have the money, like the extra money, which that's fine. We need it for rent, for college tuition, car payments, personal things like that. And then I would also change my opening to be more effective, and try to build more rapport, honestly. I thought I did decent, but I can definitely do better. And yeah, so some of the changes. So my confidence and mindset has completely changed about sales. I'm way more confident than I was prior to last semester, um, as well as even at the beginning of the year, this school year, because I've done cold calls before at a previous job, but I definitely feel like I got more insight with the experience with this, as well as the guidance from my professors. So I definitely feel more confident. Um, my mindset's changed. I'm way more prepared for rejection, and it's not a no, it's just a not right now. So I can integrate that into my future sales experiences. And a couple things I learned about myself is that I can actually be very convincing, and that uh, it's really just about like the personal relationships with that. And then, yeah, my total outcome ended up being $2,175. I had a total of 51 donors, and that was from both um, fall semester and spring semester. And I raised $1,110 this semester. And as of right now, I am number two sales person in the school and on the leaderboard. But overall, this was really just a great experience. I'm so excited for those kids to be able to go to camp, and overall, it was just a really great experience.